All right, people. It is 7 p.m. on Wednesday here. It is March 31st. And of course, every Wednesday it is time for Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. I am your host, Chet. And of course, to my right is my wonderful counterpart, Duffy. Duffy, how we doing today, my man? I am ready for some sports talk. I don't know about you.
I'm feeling great right now. Thanks for asking. My cat just came in the room. He's really struggling to shut the fuck up, but it's really great to be back here Wednesday night, man. Arguably my favorite night of the week. Coming here on with you, man. Should be a great time, and a lot of good things to talk about this week.
Absolutely, always a treat to be here on Wednesdays here on Naked Sports Network.
It's a true privilege. Amen.
Yeah, it is a true privilege. I mean, just being able to come here on Wednesday, it is probably the one day of the week I look forward to with absolute just euphoria. It is just an excellent time. Aww. And welcome once again to Unapologetic here on Naked Sports Network, powered by SFBNRI. We're going to jump right into it with some NFL talk right off the bat. New league season has just been pushed from 16 games in the regular season to 17 games. So that means 18 weeks total in the NFL. And that reduces our preseason from 4 games to now just 3 games. And for a fan, I got to say, I really like the move. It really gives me more time to enjoy the NFL season. It does push the Super Bowl back an extra week, but we get an extra week of regular season football. So it does kind of screw with the way the standings will look at the end of the season, but I'm totally game for it.
Yeah, I'm game for it too. And I'm a big NFL schedule junkie, all that type of things. I love these interconference matchups, AFC versus NFC, and now we can see more of them. Instead of a team playing another team once every 4 years, we can see it, 3 times in 5 years, which is amazing because as we see in the background here, Pats, Cowboys, man, that's a newly added game. If you don't know how the schedule works, basically the 17th game is going to be against an interconference opponent who finished the same division standing as any given team that they played 2 years prior. That sounds kind of confusing at first, but
it's juicy though. It's very juicy.
The Pats played the NFC East in 2019, and since them and the Cowboys both finished in 3rd place in 2020, they're going to be playing them in 2021, which is going to be really dope. It's going to be great for ratings. But 17 games, like you were saying, Chet, I'm not ready to see, these 12-5, 11-6, 7-10 records quite yet. It's going to be really interesting to see. You can't make any more 7-9 memes about Jeff Fisher and the Rams. I saw that on Instagram yesterday, which is funny. But it's going to be looking a lot different for years to come, and I'm excited to see it, man. We're going to get used to this after a while. It's going to be the normal after a while, but it's going to be really, really interesting at first. So I'm really excited, man, for the 17 schedule.
I'm totally excited, right? And right off the bat, I definitely want to start and talk about the first matchup that's coming up in the 2021 season that I'm definitely going to be sitting down and watching. Not like I'd watch any games in the NFL. I would totally sit down, but you know what I mean? I am going to be keeping an eye out on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady coming to Gillette Stadium next season to play Cam Newton and the New England Patriots with a new roster, a new fully bulked team. I'm stoked. Beyond stoked for that game. I mean, you're talking about revenge and just a lot of emotion in that matchup.
Oh yeah, that will be the most hyped game of not just the decade, not just
probably the season, easily
of our lifetimes, man. That's gonna be the most hyped game of our lives, especially for us Patriots fans. seeing our savior, our Lord and Savior Tom Brady coming back to Gillette. But it's going to be really hype for the whole league too. This game, I don't think we're going to see a regular season game for maybe the next 10, 15 years have as much hype going into it as this one. That they're already slated to play anyways, not one of the newly acquired games, but it's going to be, one of the most exciting games. The Patriots have a lot of exciting games in their schedule next year. That included against the Cowboys, as I was saying earlier, man. It's going to be great for ratings, both those games. Really interesting teams coming to Gillette Stadium too. I mean, they got the Saints at home too. That's gonna be really exciting. They're playing the whole NFC South. You got Cam Newton going back to Carolina next year too. I just remember that right now. It's gonna be really exciting too. So, multiple revenge games slated up for the Patriots schedule next year, and a lot of marquee matchups, man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely going to be a big test for them to go up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and really try to establish that they are fine without Tom Brady, that this team can function without him. Because last season, sitting at 7-9, that was almost unacceptable by New England sports fan standards from what we've seen from Patriots history. But now you're talking about guys who are coming back from opting out of the season. You're talking about new signings and just some potentially good draft picks we'll see in this draft. Hopefully the Patriots will actually make a move, and we'll get to some big pre-draft trades that have happened at some point. But let's look at some of these other key matchups. I mean,
first of all, before you get into it, man, I just can't believe I just realized that Cam's going back to Carolina right now for the first time.
I know. It's crazy.
The first time right now. Maybe it was the shot I took before the show. Just kidding. I'm a Christian. Don't underage drink. I'm only 20 years old. I did not do that. But it's gonna be, dude. I'm excited for the season, man. I think Pat's gonna go at least 11-6. Hot take. We can get into that another day. But like you were saying, Chet, really big 17 game matchups here. Want to read off a few of them?
Yeah, I mean, Duffy, I'm kind of looking through the matchups right now. So, if you got one, go ahead and go for it. I'm still kind of scrolling through. So give us.
The consensus between a lot of these sports fans, the biggest matchup is going to be Packers-Chiefs. It's going to be in Arrowhead. The AFC is going to host all 17 of these or 16 of these games this season, which, you got to rotate. Really one way to do it, man. Rotate between conferences year in, year out. It's going to be an advantage to the AFC this year, for sure, having that extra home game. But at the end of the day, really good matchups. Packers Chiefs, it's going to be a great matchup. And if you remember the last time they played in 2019, Mahomes actually missed that game. That was the game that Matt Moore started on Sunday Night Football, and the Chiefs almost beat the Packers. So that's going to be really huge. Rams Ravens too. That's going to be a great game, especially with the way these two teams are looking now, with Matt Stafford on the Rams now. And remember the last time they played too, Lamar threw 5 touchdown passes in LA. I remember watching the game in my dorm room last year and being like, wow, these guys are legit. Because that was a game that was supposed to be close. The Rams at the time being defending NFC champs, and Lamar goes in the Coliseum and just destroys them. Bucks Colts, Tom Brady against the Colts. It's been a big factor in our entire lives. It's been one of the biggest things we've seen in the NFL the last 20 years. Really, is this rivalry. Patriots Colts. Now it's gonna be Bucks Colts, which is gonna be sick. Some sneaky games out there too, like the Cardinals Browns. Both these teams were pretty good last year. Cardinals, they lost contention towards the end of the year, but that's gonna be a great game. Obviously a game, Washington versus the Bills. A lot of good matchups. That's why I'm saying for the 17-game season, because beforehand, like I was saying, you can only see these matchups once every 4 years. And now we're going to be seeing all these new matchups year in, year out. It's going to be based on division standings, so it's going to be unpredictable. We're going to be seeing a lot of these, highly touted first place teams going against each other, cross conference. That's going to be sick. And you can see it. You can say the argument about player safety. They're going to tear ACLs, get concussions here and this and that. Record books being thrown out the window because the extra game. But at the end of the day, man, this is more football for all of us, and I got nothing to complain about.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. And some key highlighted matchups that I have to mention. Rams-Lions. That's a huge revenge game right there for Matt Stafford and Jared Goff, two guys whose quarterbacks were swapped in this year. And all respect to both quarterbacks, but I'm obviously going to take Matt Stafford and the Rams any day.
In LA game. Too, so Goff's going to return to LA. That's going to be sick.
Yeah, and of course you're talking about no Kenny Galladay anymore. You're talking about a really solid Rams offense sitting there for Matt Stafford, and of course a stout defense.
Even better defense.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be a good game to really hone in on because a lot of people are going to be talking about it. It's probably going to be a Sunday night football slot, I'd imagine, at least. We'll see. Who knows, even a Thursday night matchup potentially, but that's mostly division games for the most part.
I think it'll be dude, they got to put that game in prime time. There's a ton of games.
They should.
Dude, with this new slate, there's a ton of games that they have to put in prime time.
Absolutely.
Background too. Cowboys, Pats. You're telling me that's not going to be a primetime game or, a 4:25 p.m. America's Game of the Week game. You're telling me that even Packers Chiefs, that'll be a Sunday night game for sure, in my opinion.
And especially because if you look at what the Packers have this season, we were talking about this before the show. This is the Packers' last dance. It for sure is, because you're talking about a cap room where this season it took up about 53% of their cap. But next season, you're talking 79%. That is a huge chunk of your cap, and they had to restructure contracts like David Bakhtiari and Adrian Amos and Zadarius Smith. And then you're talking about re-signing people like Aaron Jones. But the Packers made no signings for any unrestricted free agents, which is definitely detrimental to what this team has to do. And right now, they're fucked. They are absolutely fucked. And this is the last time that this team can make a Super Bowl push. We saw them do it last season when they went to the NFC Championship game, and it went to shit. Aaron Rodgers throwing picks all over the place. That offense couldn't get in sync, and they just looked one-dimensional for the most part, even when they had the opportunities presented for them to go march down the field and score. We have talked about the NFC Championship from last season a numerous amount of times. By now, I'm giving you a brain tumor.
Packers shit the bed. They shit themselves. They pooped all over their bed, and the stains that they're gonna have to wash out of those sheets it's gonna take multiple rounds in the washer, And they tried, facilitating, how much they have to wash their own sheets by reselling Aaron Jones, reselling other pivotal guys. They didn't acquire anybody. There were rumors that they could acquire Will Fuller, who'd be a great target for Aaron Rodgers. They're really lacking that number 2.
They don't have the money
that could put them over the edge. But like you were saying, Chet, they're putting themselves, even more of a shithole, at this point. After 2021, like you were saying, Chet, with the Packers championship window, it's closing. It was already closing before, but as long as they have Aaron Rodgers, they should be contentious. But at the end of the day, who are they going to surround him with? They didn't sign anybody in free agency except for Aaron Jones, who many people expect him to walk, largely due to the Packers' free salary cap situation. They gave him a big contract. But, dude, I mean, Packers 2021, like you were saying, this could be their last year, legitimately competing, legitimately being.
Oh, it's without a doubt their last year. This is the last chance. This is the last dance for this team.
As long as they have Rodgers and Devontae Adams, they should be competitive enough to the point where they could make the playoffs, especially with 7 seeds now, especially with the division they're in. Weakening this offseason with, Mass Everett going out the door, for example. But the Packers, man, are they going to be enough to beat a team like the Bucs, beat a team, like the New Orleans Saints? I mean, could they even beat the Saints? I don't even know, because the Saints.
Well, no Drew Brees this year, so
no Drew Brees, but all around on paper, that Saints team is better. Even a team like San Francisco 49ers, man, who have their number, who have destroyed them multiple times in the playoffs and the regular season last year. It's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough for this team to compete, but let's see how they go, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And another key matchup I want to highlight, Cowboys-Chiefs. I mean, I don't know if you already mentioned it. You probably may have when I
actually didn't mention it, but
okay. Well, Cowboys-Chiefs, that's a huge game. You're talking about 2 of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league with 2 of the most high-powered offenses going head-to-head, and it's really going to catch fire. I'm talking probably a matchup similar to the Rams-Chiefs matchup we saw about 2 years ago, I believe.
That's bold. You think they're going to put up as many points in that game?
They could. They very well could, because you're talking about 2 defenses that, have proved that they can, that the Chiefs have proved they can come up in big situations, but the Cowboys, absolutely abysmal. You're talking about letting guys go. You're talking about only really putting stock into your offense. I think it's going to be a shootout. And if Dak Prescott can return to what he was originally, which I think he absolutely will do, I think we're going to see a lot of production come out of this game, and we're going to see a lot of points scored. I think we're probably going to see both quarterbacks throw for over 300 yards, potentially breaching 400 yards in this game. There's a lot at stake here for these 2 teams, because you're talking about the AFC West. I mean, obviously, Chiefs haven't really changed up that much besides signing Joe Thuney and re-signing a numerous amount of players, but you're talking about teams really bulking up, like the the Las Vegas Raiders, like the LA Chargers. And then you're talking
weird to say, man, Las Vegas as a football team.
It is. And then you look at the NFC East, you're talking about teams like Washington. You're talking about teams like New York, who are all bulking up for this season, getting ready to go. I think this game is going to really set the tone for both teams in their division. I mean, the Chiefs obviously are going to be a runaway favorite, but for the Cowboys, this is going to be fucking huge, man. I'm telling you right now.
And that's another game like we were saying, man. That's going to be nationwide broadcasted. Chiefs, Cowboys, two really highly touted teams. All the Cowboys games are pretty much nationally televised because they are the Dallas Cowboys. They're huge for ratings, but that's gonna be a huge game. A lot of big matchups this season, man. Just a lot to look forward to, especially the 17-game season. And a lot of change is gonna come. And one other topic I want to get into, team that a lot of quarterbacks going to be on the move this next month. A lot of depth charts looking different. And as we were saying before the show, Chet, humongous trade, an absolutely humongous trade in the NFC West. The San Francisco 49ers poised to draft a quarterback potentially. Number 3 pick in the draft with the Miami Dolphins, who had it from Houston. Miami did receive the 12th pick from the Niners, but they traded back up to the 6th pick with the Eagles. They also received a 2022 first and third rounder alongside a 2023 first round pick. It's another team that could really be making noise this offseason, having a lot of primetime games themselves. But I think it all starts with the quarterback position too. Trade for the 3rd pick in the draft. This is arguably the best quarterback draft class we've seen in decades. With 5 really highly touted guys projected to go in the first round of the draft. And a lot of pressure on the Niners now. And that really brings up to the point, what are they going to do with Jimmy Garoppolo? So I want to see what you think about that, Chet.
With what, San Francisco? Because
are they going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback? Or are they going to pick a quarterback number 3 overall? Because that's what it looks like they're going to do. And we've seen a lot of reports from John Lynch, the GM, saying, we believe in Jimmy. We don't let him go. Yeah, we want to make this deal, but not say goodbye, Jimmy, this and that. But I don't buy any of that shit.
You think it's just white noise?
I think he's out the door. And, when he signed that 5-year, $137.5 million contract after starting, I think it was like 10 games at that point in his career, I knew they were going to regret that shit. And look at where where we're at now, This is ridiculous.
Because the Patriots are calling him back, being like, Jimmy, come back to New
England,
Jimmy. So, I mean, kind of just looking at what San Francisco's doing, moving up to the number 3, that's kind of blatantly obvious. They really are gunning for somebody. I don't know who, though, but obviously, I mean, with the quarterback talent we're talking about and how we will never see talent like this in quite a long time, that's really saying something, especially since a lot of experts are saying that, and just the Niners, they're just obviously trying to do something at this point that's really drastic. Because, I mean, Jimmy G, he's good enough for what you got. He got you to a Super Bowl, and he was injured last season, and that defense still looks solid. They just had a bunch of injuries last season. So, I mean, for the Patriots right now, I mean, I really don't know if this means they're still going to make a run at Jimmy G based on, like, what John Lynch said, the GM. So, I mean, at this point, it's kind of tough for me to really weigh in on this because for me, it's like, I really don't think we need Jimmy Garoppolo anymore based on my opinion and based on Jimmy's track record, not being able to play most of the seasons he's been because either he's been benched because he was behind Tom Brady. He played 2 games, got hurt in New England, and then he goes to San Francisco, plays most of the games, but then gets injured last season. We don't see him for the rest of the year. So, I mean, right now at this point, I think the Niners are probably planning to not move from Jimmy and keep him on the team and draft a quarterback anyways to keep behind him. Because even though he's taking up a lot of salary cap room, they might just release him, in all honesty, after this season. Right. Or they might just deal him off to a team that actually needs a quarterback because it's the NFL, man. Every fucking team needs a quarterback. It's the only way you win these games. It's the only way you're going to stay in contention for anything. So, I mean, it's a good move by the Niners because they want this talent. And moving up in the draft, they gave up quite a bit to get it, a decent amount. Yeah. But, I mean, it's the 3rd overall pick. So, I mean, it's better than saying, oh, I'm going to trade away half my fucking picks just for it. So, I mean, what the fuck, man? I mean, it's good. And then the Dolphins made some good business deals, too, with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they did trade away the 2022 pick actually they traded their own pick to them, so they keep the Niners pick, hoping that they might tank, but then they keep the pick for the next year. So I mean, you're talking about they earned basically two picks, 2 first rounders. That's not a bad deal. That's pretty good in my opinion.
Really
so
not.
I mean, it's a good business deal by Miami, by San Francisco, and by Philly. I like the trade all around. For me, it helped all these teams really get themselves in a good position to pick a good player.
Yeah, I love the trade for all these teams, especially Miami, because they got the most out of it when you're looking at all the Eagles, Dolphins, and Niners. But when you look at the Niners situation the most, they're the ones being mostly affected by this trade. As weird as that sounds, as the Dolphins, in my opinion, were the biggest winners. But the Niners have a lot to look at now with their future, because going number 3 in the draft, with a quarterback class as heavy as this one, all eyes are on them. They're picking a quarterback in this draft. They're not going to trade up and draft, Penei Sewell, the left tackle from Oregon, after inking Trent Williams to a 6-year deal. They're picking a quarterback, and everyone knows that. I'm sure Jimmy.
Everybody does.
So
it's obvious.
It really puts Niners in a tough situation too, because who's going to want to deal for Jimmy G? The Patriots obviously have been rumored a lot, but I think there's no doubt in my mind he gets traded this offseason, because when you're putting this much stock in a prospect, whether it's Zach Wilson, whether it's Justin Fields, whether it's Mac Jones, who I've seen a few mock drafts, I don't think Jimmy G is going to want to play backup or play mentor, or in worst case scenario, play backup to that, especially with the money he's making right now. So I think this gives him no other option than to deal him this offseason.
Yeah.
And as much as we've seen, team John Lynch, as I was saying earlier, they don't want to say goodbye to Jimmy.
No.
As I was reading today, they're going to have to, because he's not going to want to be there. He's Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a guy who's already brought you to a Super Bowl. Some other team is going to want to have him. He's certainly an upgrade over other quarterbacks in the league on a lot of these teams, but I don't think he's watching Jimmy Garoppolo, in a run-first offense, he was efficient. He wasn't fantastic. In 2019, that was his first full season. He
did enough, though. That's the thing. Jimmy Garoppolo did enough to really get what his team needed for the victory.
He did enough, yeah. But if they have any other quarterback in that Super Bowl, nursing a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, they probably win that game. And, the Niners, they haven't recovered from that, really, because, obviously last season they were dealt with a bunch of injuries, but they've looked at that game and probably been like, wow, we really could have kept that lead. Fourth quarter, 2-minute drill, Garoppolo, you see him overthrow Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl on what could have been a touchdown to give them a fucking lead with a minute and a half to go.
Yeah.
I think they're taking quarterback, and it really puts a lot of pressure on the Jets, too, to take quarterback at number 2. Because, or in my opinion, too, the Jets could really, feel the offers from the Niners to trade up. Because the Niners, obviously Trevor Wilson's going number 1 the Jaguars. That's obvious.
And they're never giving up that pick. There's no way in hell.
But
Jags are desperate for a franchise quarterback, and I can see Trevor Lawrence being their franchise.
Yeah, for sure. But absolutely. And they're going to be good for the next decade or so. It's easy, in my opinion, to see that. But with numbers 2 and 3 with the Niners and the Bears, it kind of takes me, Niners and the Dolphins, Jets and the Niners. Fuck.
Get it out of your mouth, guy. What the fuck?
It kind of takes me back to 2017, when the Bears traded from 3 to 2 to grab Trubisky to the Niners, actually. They gave up a lot to trade up to that pick. And we could see that with the Niners this season, trading up to the number 2 pick with the Jets. Because all the Jets have to do, man, all they have to say is that they want to draft a quarterback. Because if
everybody wants to.
If San Francisco straight up to the number 3 pick in the draft, then they definitely have their eyes on one guy, and that's likely Zach Wilson. So if the Jets come out and say, hey, we want a quarterback, we want Zach Wilson, if there's buzz around the street, then, the Niners got to offer something up. And the Jets got to play with that. They got to use that to their advantage and try to get more from the Niners. So, I see the Niners making moves to number 2 in the draft if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of finalize this point, since we're heading a little over time in our segment here, I definitely
that's the usual here on Unapologetic.
It's the usual here, but we don't fucking care. We're not going to apologize for it. So, anyways,
damn.
With the whole thing, I mean, I don't know. It's really tough for me to say if Jimmy G is going to stay or go. But for right now, I think based on what the franchise has done, I don't think they're going to go back on their word. They're going to keep this man because they want him to mentor the dude. That's just the way the business works, man.
$5 on it?
Fuck it. Why not? We're on live.
Bet right now.
I'm shaking your hand.
This will be a bet.
$5. You heard it here on Unapologetic. $5 says Jimmy G does not get traded or gets traded. I get $5. If he doesn't,
see the thing about this bet is what's the deadline? Because he get traded mid-season, and I could already Venmo'd you $5.
No. Okay, if he's the starting quarterback regular season, I get $5.
By week one.
Week one. That's fair enough. That's plenty of time. Think about it.
Or if they announce it earlier, Or if they trade him August 28th, and I already Venmo'd you, could just shoot me back the money plus another $5.
No, I keep my $5. Fuck that. Yeah. All right. Anyways, we're going to head to a commercial break. When we get back, we're going to do some recap of the Boston Celtics and how they're doing so far. And the MLB is going to be having its opening day tomorrow. Big news for the Boston Red Sox. I'm very excited to see that. I might try and catch some of that game, but we will get to that when we get back. Please enjoy these messages. All right, welcome back to Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy here on Naked Sports, powered by SFBN RI. I am Chet and Duffy. We are Chet and Duffy, not I am Chet and Duffy. That'd be pretty fucked up if I was.
Yeah, you're a dick.
Anyways, hopping right into it, Boston Celtics still kind of hitting the blues here and there. They did have 2 wins. I did win that bet, thankfully. Celtics won 1-2 against the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee. Then they did get themselves a victory over the Oklahoma City Thunder, but then losing to the New Orleans Pelicans. Oh my God, man. Like we were just talking about that before the broadcast. Zion Williams put up 28 points and managed to milk out the clock after having a 17-point blowout at one point in the fourth quarter to secure themselves a victory. And once again, the Boston Celtics go home and with fans shaking their heads.
Dude, that was the first game the Celtics played in front of fans since March of last year.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry to cut you off. I remember
no, it's fine.
I remember being in Spain last year with your brother, with Will Reyes, watching the last Celtics game in front of fans. I think it was against the Thunder on my computer. And, also we were able to see them in front of fans for over a year. And the way they played on Monday night against the Pelicans, man, in front of fans, limited crowd, albeit, but, that was a shit show. And that was a game I was watching the game, they were within 4 or 5 points for the first 3 quarters, but similar story all year. So the Celtics can't play for shit in the fourth.
No.
And it's really bad. It's really tough to watch, Sometimes down, like you were saying, 17 in the fourth quarter, going down by a lot. I was watching the end of the game too. They came back towards the end of the game. They made a 3-point game with, I think, a minute left, and they weren't able to close it out or even tie it up. So really tough, man, and especially with this team that should be so much better than they are. Kemba Walker having a good game, 23 points, Sam with 34. Sure, Jaylen Brown was out with an injury, but the end of the day, you're playing the Pelicans, who you blew a 25-point lead against a month ago, if you remember that one, Chet. You know, you got to win these games. And the Pelicans, they're a good team. They'll probably make the playoffs, but that's the game you should win. And with fans in the building too, to get down by that many points, you see that Marcus Smart low light where he chucked the ball from half court, shacked in the full can. I don't know if you saw that, Chet, but it was a jump ball. The Pelicans had 0.3 on the shot clock for the jump ball. It was like a possession type of thing, and then jump ball. And then
it's been really tough lately for me to even catch a glimpse of the Boston Celtics. I've just been so honed into what I'm doing with my movie right now this semester that, I've just been able to look at the recap for the most part and the reports from everything. But like you said, just to build on that, Boston has just proven that they're just not a top contender. They are easily middle of the pack, even bottom of the pack, really, in terms of those who will make the playoffs. And the East itself, it's already an abysmal contest. We're probably going to see the Brooklyn Nets.
That's reassuring, though, at the same time, that the East ain't that good itself. So the Celtics will find a way to sneak in, I believe.
But even so, Boston's still bottom of that playoff bracket. And then you're talking about either playing the Nets or the Philadelphia 76ers. And at this point, I feel like with what Brooklyn made during the trade deadline, they're probably going to be the top favorites for that number 1 seed. So for Boston fans right now, strap in, because you're going to get what you got, basically, if that's a good way of saying it. This is it. This is what this team is. Do not get excited. Do not stand up and jump up and down. They are not a team that's going to make it very far in this postseason because they just don't have what it takes, really, in terms of depth. And their starters are good, but then the chemistry is just not there when it comes down to who the fuck's going to win the game and who's going to make these and who is actually going to be stepping up to make these plays. Because it proves what they have right now, it's not going to cut it. And even the trades they made, give me a break, dude. Like, actually go and make a splash. Get somebody who's actually going to bring life to that roster. Because as of right now, it's more or less the same that we've seen every single season. These are guys who are just going to bring in the usual type of energy, what you expect. Bring someone in that's unexpected to the roster. Really make a splash. Really try and get your team in a competitive standpoint. Because right now, this is it. This is the Boston Celtics.
It's a great point, Chet. And we saw them make moves at the deadline. They're bringing in Evan Fournier, the sharpshooter from Orlando. I think he was averaging 19 a game before getting traded. And his debut with Boston, 0 for 10, 0 points in 33 minutes. He was out there for over half hour on the court and didn't score a single point. Zero rebounds, 2 assists. It was really tough to watch.
Oh, great. I got somebody blowing up the chat, going chat. No surprise there.
All right, guys, comment down below, man. What is the best thing Chet has ever done? Not best thing, but guys, write down below a funny anecdote about Chet that you have. I just want to see what we can see in the comments regarding my boy.
This
Chet.
guy goes, "You're a Boston Celtic."
Who's the guy? Tell us.
I can't say his name.
Why not?
Keep the profile. Nah, I'm not name dropping Jake Carlton. This guy over here just blows up the chat with at least 8 chats and then goes, "You're a Boston Celtic." Wow. Incredible.
You are a true Boston Celtic, man. He's Chet on the hardwood. I haven't even played hoops with you, bro. And I don't think I've ever played hoops with you, but
probably not. I balled out back in 8th grade. After that, I was totally honed in on football.
Because you were so long. You were just the longest dude on the court.
Dude, I can still play defense. Chet, I remember
give us your height and weight right now. Give us your measurements so we can see how you stack up against.
I'm 6 feet and probably at least now probably around 210, I'd imagine.
Chet is 6 feet. He would rebound over anybody, man. This guy's a true Boston Celtics. This is why we love Chet. But going back to the Celtics, man, like I was saying, great point bringing in with the trade deadline with Evan Fournier.
This guy goes, "We want a new Chet." Get the hell out of here with that crap. Wow. All right, but keeping it honed in on the Boston Celtics. Let's just take a look at what they got for their schedule. If my tabs
games, very winnable games upcoming.
Yeah, absolutely. And as soon as are you serious? All right. This is really screwing me up right now. Let's see. Hold on. 1 minute.
They're
Oh
playing
my
the
God.
Mavericks tonight.
Yeah, go for it, please. Yeah, Mavericks next.
They're playing the Mavericks, in a few minutes. They're a team that has similar records as Celtics, 24-21. Not playing their best basketball, 5-5 in their last 10 games at home. Winnable game. They're playing the Rockets on Friday, a team fresh off a 20-game losing streak the other week. Winnable game. You're playing the Hornets on Sunday night. That's another, pretty solid team. They're fourth in the East right now. They're playing some pretty good basketball, even without LaMelo Ball, who broke his wrist. Still a winnable game. Sixers going to be tough. Knicks going to be kind of tough. Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And
kind of to point out those matchups right now. I mean, the toughest ones we got at the moment, the Sixers, without a doubt. Then we go to LA on Thursday, the day after our show on the 15th. That's going to be a tough one to play the Los Angeles Lakers. Then you got Golden State 2 days later. Golden State's still a solid team, as we've seen.
Before that, Chet, big thing to point out, we're on a 6-game homestand right now.
Yeah.
5 straight games at home in front of some fans, in front of the loyal, Boston Celtic faithful. So got to win at least 4 of these games. And we already lost one the other night against the Pelicans. So
yeah.
Winnable games. Get yourself back in, that mid-tier seed in the East. You're only a game and a half behind the Hornets, who are the 4th seed right now.
Yeah,
and only a game out of being out of the playoff picture as a whole. So win some of these games. So gotta take advantage of this homestand. This is 6 games in a row. I look like a huge bandwagon right now, wearing this Pacers hat, wearing this Curry shirt. I'm a Celtics fan, man. I got this hat before I was even into basketball. I'm a big Curry fan, so I had to cop the shirt. He's my boy. I love Curry.
Yeah, and I mean,
team.
Yeah, and I mean, with the Dallas Mavericks, we did see them lose early in the season, 110-107. That's a game that they definitely should have won, but of course, choked at the end of that.
Another blown lead in that game too. Perfect
Houston Rockets,
4th quarter.
Absolute blowout for the Celtics in a victory in that game, 134-107. That's another winnable game for them, like you said. Charlotte, we did see them play, I think, earlier in the season. I could be definitely mistaken by that. No, they did not play. But anyways, I mean, Charlotte has proven themselves to be a pretty solid team, and especially with Terry Rozier being on that team, it's going to be a good revenge game for these Boston Celtics to really hone in on. Down the stretch, I mean, these 3 games right here, I could see them really contending in. It's going to be a tough stretch against the Sixers and the New York Knicks, who the Knicks, they're playing pretty good as of right now. They are definitely not a top 3 team in the East. Absolutely not. That's obvious right there from the standings. But they've got a good defense on their hands. And I mean, with Boston, who struggled time and time again to really stop these scorers from really getting in there, especially against these mediocre teams, they really need to put a stand right here. These are some critical games to really get themselves back in the conversation and really get themselves as a contender, really, because they are the 7th or 8th seed now. So I mean, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
For sure. And exaggerate sounds like an exaggeration, but tonight's a must-win game. You're under 500 again. You're 23-24. You're playing a team that's been struggling also in the Dallas Mavericks. They got to win this game tonight. And it sucks watching them play and just being let down every night. Honestly, don't put your money on this team to win, but these next few games at home, the Celtics need to win them. And
they absolutely do.
Because you're not going to have another home stretch like this the rest of the season. This is 6 home games in a row. You already lost one, a game that you could have won, a game that you let slip away from you towards the end of the game. So take advantage, man. You got a healthy lineup. Let me see if Jaylen Brown's playing tonight. I'm not quite sure he is actually available tonight against the Mavericks. So take advantage, win that game, and get back up to 500. We can talk after that, Boston.
Absolutely. Now, shifting focus onto the baseball diamond, we've got the Boston Red Sox coming up with opening day tomorrow. It's finally here, and I could not be more excited, especially after a very short MLB season last season. This is going to be big for me as a baseball fan. I don't know about you, Tim. Well, Duffy, excuse me, once again. This always slips up. Every episode, at least one episode.
Chad has to spill my government name every episode, and it sucks because I gotta keep my persona on the low. It's really disappointing, man. Talking
God,
to Keith sometimes,
God,
but
God damn it.
you know,
Anyways,
Chet's like an older bro to me. I'm just playing. Chet's my guy. But
absolutely. Looking at the looking at the Boston Red Sox with their starting batting lineup for tomorrow, you got Enrique Hernandez, second baseman, Alex Verdugo, right fielder, JD Martinez, the DH at number 3, Xander Bogaerts at number 4, Marwin Gonzalez, third base at the 5th spot, and then you got Franchi Cordero, Michael Chavez, and Kevin Pilecki. I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be totally
I
wrong.
feel like are you on masslive.com also looking at this lineup?
I believe so. Give me 1 second. I could be totally wrong. But
I think
anyways, with the Boston Red Sox for tomorrow, you're going up against the Baltimore Orioles team that definitely has stocked up with some good talent prospect-wise. Obviously, young guys, and this is a team that was easily one of the worst teams in the league last season.
Oh yeah,
And,
they suck.
well, especially Boston. You look at the Red Sox were completely abysmal. And Chris Sale, still not anywhere to be found as of right now, still recovering from that Tommy John arm surgery. We expect him to probably come back within the next few months, so that is going to be tough. So Nathan Eovaldi tomorrow will be taking the plate, and it will be taking the mound, as I should say. And I mean, I like what they've got coming for them this season. I mean, they've made some moves this season to really get some talent. But if you're asking me if they're really going to compete in the East, it's once again,
The AL, you mean?
well, yeah, but in their own division.
Oh,
Is
the
what I'm
AL
saying.
East. I'm
Yeah,
really
in the AL East.
I
Yeah,
tried to like a smart ass for a sec, but it really
exactly.
backfired.
So get that shit out of here. But anyways, within the AL East, you're talking about teams like the New York Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays, both who were in the playoffs, and we all, of course, saw the Rays lose to the LA Dodgers last year in the World Series. So, I mean, Red Sox, they got a lot to really deal with, and especially Toronto. Toronto's really bulked up this offseason, getting players like George Springer on their roster from the Houston Astros. So, I mean, for the Red Sox, there's really a lot going into it, and it's going to require the core bats on this team, such as JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, and Rafael Devers, to really step up for these young guys to really get them to start playing well. And especially with the pitchers, the pitching staff has been abysmal the last few years, to the point where I just literally haven't watched a single fucking game. It makes me want to throw up with the bullpen absolutely being destroyed from the World Series days, and especially the starting rotation. The starting rotation, god awful. Oh my god, I can't stand it at this point. So hopefully the Red Sox will bring some type of consistency for me to sit there and actually enjoy going into this year.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be an exciting year. Coming off of a pretty bad season last year, 60-game season. You know, a lot of these teams hit their strides after 60 games. So, Red Sox, man, they can just start out against the Orioles, which is one of the really bad teams in the league. Not only for the last couple of years too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Orioles in the first series, like every year, man. I feel like they play them in opening day literally every single season. But
they, without a doubt, do. It's a divisional opponent for them. So
yeah, you play them like 19 times a year. It's bound after you play a divisional opponent, but. Red Sox, man, I'm excited for this season. You know, pretty solid lineup coming out on the play. You know, get guys like JD Martinez and Xander Bogaerts back. Two really premier players on this team, and I'm excited for this squad team, man.
Yeah, and of course, this week we've got the Red Sox have Baltimore from Thursday into Sunday. They do not play on Friday, and then Monday and Tuesday they will play the Tampa Bay Rays, and they will have already played the Rays as of Wednesday next week when we have the show going. They play at 1:10 against Tampa in Fenway Park. And some exciting news for Boston Red Sox fans is you can now return to the stadium. Fans are now allowed in Boston, and that is definitely something I might try to look into. Hopefully, ticket prices will not be sky high because of COVID.
To a game.
What's up?
I go to a game with you, bro. That'd be sick.
It would be. I love going to a Boston Red Sox game. Believe it or not, my graduation present was home plate tickets for the Red Sox, and I got to say it was awesome. Despite losing to the Chicago White Sox 3-1 in extra innings. That sucked.
You didn't want extra innings. You got more time, though.
Stephen Wright did awesome. I mean, he had 9 strikeouts that game, the knuckleball thrower who basically
was that?
Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright. Ooh, the knuckleball three. Yes, sir. Stephen Wright. He was on my fantasy team one year, man.
Yeah, I was disappointed because the next night we would have saw Chris Sale pitch. But nonetheless, it was totally fine. I love that game. I love that experience. And to never get it back, I believe it was the last time I saw Big Poppy play there. So that was huge for me to really go and see that. But I mean, after that, they go.
Old, man. You did graduate in 2016. That was his last season.
Exactly. So. It was his last season. But then you look at the schedule ahead going into the following week after. They got Baltimore. They've got the Twins. And then we'll be back here to discuss how they're doing so far. So, I mean, a lot of baseball talk to come as the season goes on week to week. But for now, we're going to head into our final segment, our gambling segment, a totally new segment that we had just come up with a few months ago and have been in the works. It is finally here, but we are going to hit a quick commercial break. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy here on Naked Sports Network, powered by SFBNRI. And we've got you a special gambling segment, so get ready to run those pockets up because we got a special guest here tonight as I threw all my fives all over the place. I'm going to have to reorganize. Brandon Azargoon, otherwise known as Azzy, is joining us to give us some hot takes on some gambling he's making this week. So, Azzy, why don't you take it away, my friend? Boston, I love it. I love the energy right here, right now in this stream. So,
Azzy, great to have you back, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great to be back, boys. Appreciate it. How's everything going?
Can't complain. Can't complain. I mean, I got these fat stacks that I'm ready to gamble on right now with some of these bets that you're making. So let's hear them.
All right, let's get started. So right now we'll start with some March Madness. First thing I'm going to say right off the bat, the UCLA spread. I love it. Plus 14 against Gonzaga. And literally, I don't mind this. I honestly don't mind this because, hey, UCLA beat Michigan. They beat Alabama. They beat some heavy hitters during the tournament. And plus 14 against Gonzaga, who's had a fairly easy road, I think could easily pull it off and easily get plus 14.
Yeah, I like that. Sorry, Chris.
You mean Chet.
Chet. Sorry, I just want to say
not my name.
I just want to say I love that pick. You know, we're looking at a team like at UCLA from first four to Final Four, really an unprecedented run this March Madness, you know. And they play some tough games. Sure, Gonzaga has beaten a lot of teams by double digits, 20 points here and there, but plus 14, that's still a lot of points. And I think when I first saw it, it was at like plus 10.5. So teams are smashing that Gonzaga, you know, spread. But take it, like as he was saying, man, while it's high, take it. Plus 14, I think it's a safe bet. I think it's a good bet too because UCLA's been playing some great basketball, great defensive basketball, holding Michigan to less than 50 points last night, which was really huge. So I fuck with that bet, Azzy. I agree with. I would take that line, but I lost all my money in my account, so I've been refraining from putting more back in. I might put some more back in after this episode, but
Might have to.
I might put 5 on UCLA plus 14. That's a whole lot of points. So
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like that pick. It's a very bold pick, and I mean, you look at what UCLA has done defeating these top seeds, and then you look at Gonzaga, who has blown out some of these top seeds. But last night, I remember tuning into, I believe it was the first half of that game. I didn't get to watch the rest, but they were UCLA. They were down at least. I think they were down 13-6 at one point. And they just started to get on a roll. And I'm like, this team I think they might just pull this one out because I'm pretty sure I picked this team going into this game. And they definitely didn't disappoint. They were on fire that whole game. And if they can do what they did against Michigan, going up against Gonzaga, who's literally wiped the floor against every team they faced so far by at least double digits, I think we got ourselves a pretty safe bet here to say UCLA might be able to do something here, but it's tough for me to really go against Gonzaga, especially in this matchup. But obviously, I am no college basketball expert. And to be honest, I was surprised Alabama was even in the tournament this year because last year they were definitely a mediocre team, to say the least. I saw URI defeat them. They were pretty terrible. So, I mean, for the most part, UCLA, very impressive. But you know what? I think I will ride the train here and take them on this one. I think there's just too much going for them right now. I feel like they definitely have what it takes.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, so
blown out, but I think plus 14, I take that. I don't think they're gonna lose, but I think Gonzaga will win this game, but you know, I could see it not being as much of a mismatch as their other matchups because UCLA is coming in this game with a whole lot of momentum. So,
yep.
Yeah.
They're upset champions.
All right, Azzy, let's hear that next bet.
Yeah, definitely. So the next one I got for actually I'll stick with that UCLA game and I'll also say the under 146. So kind of like we talked about already, basically because I mean they're holding Michigan to 50. They're holding a lot of teams in the 50s and 60s over this tournament. And if they come out with the win, especially if they even make it a close game, I'm sure it's going to be tight. So I say under 146. But for the next game, actually, I'm hammering. It's one of my favorite bets. Shout out to Nick Ferry. It's one of his too. Baylor -5. As long as they don't turn the ball over.
Yeah. I really like the Baylor -5. You know, they've been playing some great basketball this tournament, you know, beating Arkansas by 9. Other games they've had, I'm trying to see them right now, but, you know, being Wisconsin too by double digits. I like that bet a lot. The other bet, the under, I'm not sure. I mean, it's a great point, like you were saying, especially watching last night's game where UCLA held Michigan under 50 points, but Gonzaga's a high-powered team, so it's even go one of two ways. It could be a defensive slugfest. We're going to have to play a lot of good defense, hold teams to less points, but you could look at it like UCLA's going to have to score more points to keep up with Gonzaga too. So that bet's up in the air. I don't like doing over-under bets before the game. I love doing the live bets during the game because we're playing, but that can go either way, man. It's tough. That's a tough bet, but I see the under hitting if UCLA plays as poor offensively as they did last night too, because I can take really big advantage of that and maybe slow it down the stretch to keep it at the under. But that's a tough one. But Baylor -5, I really do mess with that bet. And they're gonna book for to get into the NCAA championship, especially with as close these games that Houston's been playing against teams that they're better than, including the ACC tournament where Houston
definitely
against Memphis in that last game. I think they only beat them by like a point. But they beat them on that buzzer beater 3-pointer at the end. So Houston -5. I mean, they're gonna be susceptible to Baylor, and I love that bet. So.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of agreeing with you once again. I mean, Baylor, they've at least dominated their opponent by 9 points at least in the end of the game. I mean, we've seen that. And then you look at Houston, they've just had some really close games where they easily could have given up the game. They did have one blowout against Syracuse, 62-46. But then you see against Rutgers, the 10th seed, 63-60. That's a little too close for my comfort as a sports gambler. So going into this, I'm probably going to take Baylor as a safe bet in this one. I mean, they just seem like they have too much going for them, especially with the track record of what they've done so far. So I like what they have really going for them. So seeing them going up against Gonzaga or potentially UCLA, right now, it's probably like obviously, by the way, we're saying the whole matchup's going to be UCLA and Baylor. So
I think Dude, I think the final is. I think the winner is going to be whoever wins that Gonzaga UCLA matchup because even Gonzaga, Gonzaga, 30-0 right now, and they've been shitting on everyone this tournament. They're the best team in the tournament without a doubt. But UCLA, if they go in and beat Gonzaga, you're telling me that you don't think they're gonna beat Baylor or Houston? Two really solid teams in their own right. But I love these Cinderella stories, and we've never seen a seed that low, win the championship. But if UCLA can go in and beat Gonzaga, they can beat anybody, man.
Absolutely. That's talking about a team that's literally got nothing to lose. They don't give a flying fuck. They are literally just coming into every matchup, throwing haymakers at every step of the way, just really dominating the court. They don't. They really don't give a shit. So, I mean, I love to see this type of energy because, like you said, once again, we love an underdog story. Yeah. All right, Azzy, so let's hear some more of those picks.
Yeah, definitely. And just to add to, I mean, Baylor, huge play in amount of turnovers they force. I mean, it's incredible too. I mean, how much defense they've been playing lately. I think they're one of the leaders in March Madness so far this tournament in forcing turnovers. So it's been crazy. So one of the other picks that I really like. So I'll give you some fast rounders for tonight. So tonight, I think there's about like 2 hours left for these games. You got the Canucks money line in NHL. They've been playing great, solid hockey lately. I think they're going to come home with the dub, even though they're favorited. They're not favored, excuse me. So that's a great pick. And then also Bucks -9. That's all that they're getting against the Lakers, who have no Anthony Davis, no LeBron James, and just a bunch of scrubs down the rest of the way. Their best scorer is Kuzma as of right now. Now, granted, Bucks did just lose to the Clippers, but the Clippers still had Kawhi Leonard. That's still a force in any game, no matter what you're thinking. So I think Bucks take it home here. They outscore the Lakers by at least 15, but I'll take the -9. And you can get those bets in the next 2 hours.
Yeah. Love that Bucks bet. -9, like you were saying against the Clippers, man. Struggling game again for the Bucks. Clippers had 4 guys with 20+ points, even without PG. It's probably just a bad night for the Bucks, but the Lakers have been playing some really rough basketball lately. They won their last game, but for that, we're on a 4-game losing streak. So without their 2 best players, Mickey Mouse, James, and A. Disney, I'm going to take the Bucks -9. I love betting on the Bucks spread because, they won me a game a few weeks ago against it was actually against the Clippers the first time they played in Milwaukee, and I had them at -4.5 live bet. They're down.
Oh my God.
They're down 5 with like 6 minutes left. And I'm like, dude, I need them to outscore them by 10 points the rest of the game. The Clippers not score the rest of the game, and the Bucks won by 5. So Bucks, I've not bet on their money line since then or their spreads. So just because you said so, man, I might have to put some money in my account and bet Bucks -9, dude, because I love the Bucks. Canucks money line. I don't really know much about hockey, so I can't really comment too much on this, but they're playing the Coyotes. I don't know. Sorry, not the Coyotes. They're playing the
Flames. The Flames. Yep.
Isn't Calgary pretty good too, though?
Calgary's not bad. They're not bad, but I think Canucks are on a good streak right now, so that's the biggest reason why I take that pick. They've just been playing really good hockey.
What are the odds at for the money line?
The money line was like either -101 or +101. Let me check that out.
It's plus 1.5, -1.5. Over under is 5.5.
That's the spread. But yeah, Canucks. Listen to Azzy, guys, man. He's a genie in his own right.
I mean, definitely.
Dude, I've lost too much money on these. That's what I was taking a break. Today's March 31st. March was Gambling Addiction Awareness Month. You guys need to check in or anything. Make sure you talk to someone if you have a gambling addiction. But me personally, I don't think.
You were only betting $3. Like, chill.
Yeah, but I was losing a lot, dude. It added up after a while.
How much? How much were you betting?
I don't want to spill on the camera, dude. All right, I'll just say this: I put $20 in my account probably 5 times, and I have nothing left anymore. So
you lost $100.
I lost at least 100. It was between 100 and 120.
Could be worse.
That could be a lot worse.
It could be like the stock market. Like, I could have lost 100K in the stock market, man. I could be fucked. So
yeah, well,
I'll take $100 on bets that I thought would win.
Like Bucks -9.
Like Bucks -9, man. Everyone go smash that right now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say in this matchup, the Bucks definitely got a pretty good shot to win this game, like you said, with just those injuries to the Los Angeles Lakers and just the way the Bucks have been playing basketball. They just look excellent all around. I just like what they bring to this table, and I'll take them there. And with the Flames and Canucks, once again, don't really know what I can really weigh in here because these are two bottom of the division teams. Obviously, I might have to take your word for it and go with the Canucks here on this one. But, I mean, that's my 2 cents there on these matchups. What do you got anything else for us, or is this all you brought to the table tonight?
No, this is good. Yeah, this is all I got for tonight. Some easy winners, some easy ways to win money. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Absolutely. All right. Great to hear from Azzy tonight. Obviously, well, next week, we're going to have a nice special intro coming in for him. Obviously, he will be in different character for that one, but that is for you to find out and for us to know. So until then, enjoy the rest of your week, folks. Thank you all for joining into Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. More sports news to come. And this is Chet and Duffy signing off. Go Pats.
And guys,
Thanks, Duffy.
Before you guys take Azzy's advice, remember he was the one on this show who bet 100 on Chiefs -3 in the Super Bowl live on camera.
That was a bad bet for me. That was a very bad bet for me.
It's all right. I bet on them too. I bet on them too, bro. Right before the game, I only bet $15 on their money line, but I still lost.
We all lose money. All right. Have a good night, everybody. We will see you all next week at 7 p.m. Eastern. This is Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy signing off. Have a good night.
Wow.